ahead on DC News Now at 4.
It's been cloudy and cooler throughout this Friday, but it'll get hot and humid with storms returning on Saturday. We'll time out that activity for you.
A Supreme Court decision has big implications for schools right in our backyard. We're hearing from the president and parents about the decision.
Major changes coming to Metro.
I have my hopes that, everything's going to be fine and we're going to be getting to our points on time.
What commuters need to know this weekend.
And heat wave survival. A top DC doc shares how to stay cool and safe as temperatures soar across the DMV. The do's and don'ts if you spend any time outdoors.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
And I'm Tosin Fakile. We're going to kick things off with a check of your forecast on this Friday evening.
Yeah, Damon, I don't know if I should say that I'm enjoying this cool down because that might create an awkward conversation, but it certainly feels a whole lot better than...
Who is it awkward for?
Well, it's not a cool down though, is it?
It feels pretty good outside.
It feels a lot better. How's that?
Yeah, that works.
Mark, when you talk about going from the upper 90s to the 70s, that's a cool down,
okay,
big time. You
let's
nailed
enjoy it.
Yeah, we got to enjoy it because it's not really going to last. But hey, we certainly have had some very cool temperatures today because of some clouds and some rainfall lingering nearby. Now, overall, that's been the main trend for many of us. Nothing much else to really worry about on this Friday, except for the fact that out across some of our western counties, way out toward the Allegheny front in Garrett and Mineral counties, there is a flood watch until 10 p.m. because at times there have been some pockets of heavier rainfall. Earlier in the day, it was across much of northern Virginia. Thankfully, that has fizzled out, but we are noticing the main batch of activity that is still focused right along the spine of the higher terrain. And if any of that heavy rain really gets going, we could potentially see some flooding issues out that way. So the chance for some heavier rain and a few thunderstorms does continue west of I-81 straight through the evening time. The rest of us will continue to be cloudy. There is the chance for at least some light rain or drizzle, but other than that, we get to continue to enjoy these cooler temperatures. I'll put that in quotes, but hey, middle 70s feels fantastic, even if it is fairly damp and gray out there. Now, as we head into the weekend, should we be prepared for those temperatures to spike back up once again? And will there continue to be the chance for rain and storms on Saturday and Sunday? We'll have a full look at your forecast coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon Matson, thank you. Big day at the Supreme Court with several issues on decisions on some big issues, including one that impacts schools right in our own backyard. Today, SCOTUS ruling parents in Montgomery County Public Schools can opt their children out of lessons involving LGBTQ themes, citing a right to religious freedom.
Mark, several years ago, the school system had allowed parents to opt out, later reverse course, leading to a lawsuit that ended up in the hands of the Supreme Court. Our Randy Bass is at the High Court where she has reaction from the president and from parents this afternoon. Randy, good afternoon.
Yes, mixed reaction across Montgomery County today when it comes to this decision, but across town, the president at the White House today gave praise to the High Court and what this decision could mean for parents.
After several years caught up in the courts, the Supreme Court ruling MCPS parents can choose to pull their kids out of lessons involving LGBTQ storylines. Today, the president calling it a win for parents.
They lost control of the schools. They lost control of their child. And this is a tremendous victory for parents. And I'm not surprised by it, but I am surprised that it went this far.
Parents in Montgomery County feeling mixed on the decision. Donna Kohan says she was disappointed this had to happen and had to go so far.
Yet they decided to dig their heels in and take this all the way to the Supreme Court instead of just letting parents opt out. Like, if parents want to deny the real world around them, let them deny the real world around them.
But parents like Rosalind Hansen celebrating the ruling outside the high court, calling it a win for religious freedom.
When we send our children to school, we still have a right to defend and protect our religious liberties. The district had no problem fighting this all the way to the Supreme Court and spending millions of taxpayers' dollars to fight this when they knew they were wrong from the very beginning. All we ever wanted was to be able to opt out, not change any curriculum, not change any books, but to simply say not for our children, no thank you.
And the president of the county's teachers union, David Stein, says he worries about the consequences of the decision on students and educators.
The central tenet of public education is to expose our students to the world around them, to acknowledge the beauty and diversity of our communities. And what this does is limits that. And I know in Montgomery County, we're not going to stop valuing diversity.
County School Board and the public school system, in this case, issuing a joint statement saying, in part, today's decision is not the outcome we had hoped for or worked toward. It marks a significant challenge for the public education system nationwide. In Montgomery County Public Schools, we will determine next steps and navigate this moment with integrity and purpose. Now, the full extent of the impacts of this decision on public schools, both here in and around the DMV and nationwide, still fully yet to be realized. The story still developing. We'll bring you new details as we learn them. Outside the Supreme Court, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
All right, Randy, a lot of major things today. Thank you for that report. Coming up at 4:30, our national correspondent tracking several other rulings from birthright citizenship to nationwide injunctions.
Well, an update this afternoon. Attorneys for a Maryland man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, asking a judge to keep him in a Tennessee jail for several more weeks. Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported to El Salvador back in March. Then he was brought back to the U.S. to face human smuggling charges stemming from a traffic stop in Tennessee back in 2022. The judge in Tennessee saying that Abrego Garcia has the right to be released while he awaits trial. But federal prosecutors told a Maryland judge Thursday that they would deport him to a country other than El Salvador if he is released. We're going to bring you more details as we learn more on air and online at DCNewsNow.com.
And developing now, D.C. police say a man was killed overnight. Police responded at about 2 a.m. to 4th and Chesapeake Street in Southeast. Anyone with information is asked to contact police.
In Charles County, Maryland, a Waldorf man facing animal cruelty charges. Charles County Sheriff's Office say 25-year-old Dejan Warren killed a dog during an argument last month. They say Warren grabbed an AR-style rifle, went to the person's home, and killed a dog that was tied to the home on Ruston Place. It's unclear what the argument was over. He's currently being held without bond.
And in Fairfax County, local leaders considering expanding a weapons ban. Right now, it's illegal to bring weapons to public spaces like city buildings and parks. FFXNow.com is reporting council is considering banning weapons at city-permitted events and city parks. A meeting set to happen on July 22nd.
In the district, big changes this weekend to Metro Bus.
Yeah, WMATA rolling out its Better Bus network on Sunday, an entire redesign of the bus system. Our Marielle Carbone live in Chinatown. Marielle, this has been long in the making.
Yeah, they've been working on this redesign for 3 years now, and you can see the changes are coming on the 29th. Now, not every route will be changing, but the names of every route will be changing today. Metro workers handing out pamphlets like this, giving people information and preparing them for Sunday. Big changes are rolling in this weekend for Metro bus riders.
I've heard there are bus changes happening this weekend, and they have a nice little note telling me it ends June 28th.
As WMATA shifts to its Better Bus network.
No, I know 2 of the lines that I take frequently are changing, so I have on my to-do list to figure out what that means.
This is the first time in decades that we're making comprehensive changes to the bus.
According to WMATA General Manager Randy Clark, the redesign takes into account geographical changes across the city.
If you look 20 years ago, what NOMA was today, NOMA didn't exist like that 20 years ago. We had to reset the entire table, right? Really say, where are people living and where are people trying to go?
Starting Sunday, more than 500 underused or dangerous stops will be eliminated, with some new routes added. Every stop will be renamed with a new number and letter, like D for downtown routes or C for crosstown. Service will operate every 12 or 20 minutes.
Every bus stop you go, there is enough information just telling you that be aware on the 29, everything is going to change very much.
Writer Sandro Hernandez says the information and messaging has been fairly straightforward.
I have my hopes that, everything is going to be fine.
Still, he's planning ahead for next week.
I'm going to just leave my house a little earlier and see if,
Now, Metro will have workers out on Sunday and throughout next week on hand to help anybody who needs it. And Mark and Tosin, people can also go on Metro's website and use their trip planning tool to see how their routes are changing and will be in place for next week. Reporting live in Chinatown, I'm Marielle Carbone, DC News Now.
All right, Marielle, thank you. Big changes are coming to the Beltway in Virginia.
After 3 years of the work on the 495 Next project, VDOT shifting traffic to newly built lanes starting tonight.
And what that means is crews will begin moving all 4 southbound lanes of I-495 to a new alignment in McLean around 8. And then by 10 tonight, 3 lanes will shut down between the GW Parkway and Lewinsville Road, along with ramps at exits 43 and 44. 1 lane will stay open, but expect overnight stoppages as police direct traffic. Well, if all goes as planned, the new lanes will be open by 10 tomorrow morning. A second shift closer to the Dulles Toll Road is set for July 11th. Changes will allow crews to start building the new express toll lanes in the center of the highway. VDOT is urging drivers to slow down and stay alert as work in that area ramps up.
12 men now ordained priests through the Diocese of Arlington.
And they will now serve as parishes across Northern Virginia.
Officials say it's the largest class of Catholic priests ordained at one time in decades. Bishop Michael Burbridge of Catholic Diocese of Arlington calls them the 12, much like the 12 apostles of Jesus. Some of them include Reverend Ricky Malbranch, who attended Mount St. Mary's in Western Maryland, and California native Reverend Mike Sampson, who practiced law while volunteering at Arlington Parish.
I certainly never expected to be a priest. When I was baptized, I don't think I even thought about how Father had become a priest. It just wasn't on my radar. So this kind of period of feeling like a lot of inner turmoil. And a friend of mine, he's a lawyer also, he said, Mike, you need to find your faith. And for whatever reason, I took him seriously.
I've been waiting for this. You've been almost held back for a year from serving the people as much as you want. And now the Lord is like, I want you to bless, I want you to celebrate Mass, I want you to hear confession, go.
This year's class of new priests is the second largest in the diocese's 50-year history. As part of the 3-hour service, nearly 200 priests lined up to welcome their new brothers.
Well, coming up, storm damage around Montgomery County causing a messy cleanup for neighbors. We're live after the break with those impacts.
And your 4th of July celebration may have gotten a little bit cheaper. We're stretching your dollar with the new data.
And later, neighbors fed up with loud noise from cars in the district were following the push for noise cameras.
Hey, you're watching DC News Now at 4, covering the news where you live all across the DMV.
We'll be back with more news and weather in 2 minutes.